Princess Stella Vermillion has arrived in Japan. Ikki Kurogane, who was an aspiring magical knight, closed the television after he heard this news. Stella Vermillion was accepted at Hagun Academy. The academy has the highest score in producing magical knights. She was the second princess of the Vermillion Empire, and it has been said that Stella was the strongest and most gifted knight. Ikki thought about the stereotypes that people had made, that what you become is decided at the time you are born. Ikki starts his training and summons his sword, Intensu. He wants to become the Blazer, a special being who can manifest one's own soul as armor. They are also called magical knights and are approved by the international organization. When Ikki reached his house, he saw the shoes of a person, which was Stella, who was changing her clothes and was embarrassed by seeing Ikki. So to make it even worse, he removed his t-shirt, and by doing so, Stella yelled and slapped him, which led him to the director's office, where the director told them that they were roommates because Ikki has the title of the worst one and Stella was the strongest in the academy, and this would be the best combination. At first, Stella denied being the partner with Ikki, but because of the director's warning to leave the academy, Stella put 3 conditions on Ikki to become her roommate. You cannot talk, you cannot open your eyes, and you can't take a breath inside the room. Ikki asked her for breath, but Stella refused as she thought that Ikki would smell her. But because of the disagreement between Ikki and Stella, the director decided to do a mock battle, a fight where there is no physical damage but drains the other person's physical strength, and whoever wins gets to decide the rules of their room. An hour later, the battle started at the 4th training field, and after an intensive fight between Ikki and Stella, Ikki finally defeated Stella. It's been a while. She has forgotten how it feels to lose. Stella tells the director, who went there to check the condition and asks about Ikki. She says that Kurogane has consumed all his power in a single minute, and it's a big move that can be performed only once a day. He is a lot more wasted than her, but it is not life-threatening. Stella questions the rank of Ikki and asks how a man of rank F can perform like this. Ranks are only based on Blazer and don't evaluate your swordplay and physical movements. The director replies, describing Ikki, and tells her to learn something from him. It won't be a waste of her time. While Kurogane was sleeping, Stella went there to wake him up, but her hand was under Ikki. During Stella's effort to free her hand, Ikki wakes up and asks Stella what she is doing. Due to this, Stella trembled and got hit by the wall, and her head got injured. Stella asks Ikki to forgive her while he bandages her head, so Kurogane reminds her about the condition of the fight and asks her to become roommates. A girl traveling on the train thought of the cruel reality that was hiding in the peaceful world, and the person she loved deeply was enduring great pain for a long time. Nobody loves him, neither her father, mother, nor anyone else, and they are willing to hurt him more than they do now. But she will give him all the love and care that the world hasn't given him. It was the entrance and opening ceremony of the Hagun Academy, where Stella and Ikki were doing their daily workout. Ikki has a routine of running 20 kilometers daily, so he asks Stella not to come with him if it's too much for her, and he has no problem with it. Stella has a powerful magic that she can compensate for with her physical strength. Ikki offered Stella his sports drink, but Stella refused to drink it as she thought it would be indirectly kissing him. So Ikki apologized to her as she has concerns about using shared objects, but after this, Stella drank it, clarifying it. Today, Ikki was very happy as her sister was arriving at Hagun Academy and he would be seeing her after 4 years. A new teacher, Yuri, was introduced to the class. It was her first class, so Stella finds it exhausting, but Ikki finds her a good teacher. The teacher tells the class about the selection match for the 7-Star Battle Festival, and after that, the director's message is shown to the class that this year they will select their representatives by actual fighting, where all students participate and not just based on their ability score, which was happening until last year. The school match will start next week, and the top 6 winners will become the school representatives. Stella asked the teacher about the number of matches, so she replied, the fight schedule and their opponent will be informed to the students by their emails to their student ID, so they have to check regularly. They have to fight over 10 matches per person, and there will be a match once every 3 days. If anyone doesn't want to fight, they can withdraw from the match. It won't affect their grades, but the teacher encourages them to try. As the match was once every 3 days, Ikki thought that he could use his Ito Shura. But suddenly, while cheering the class, the teacher vomited blood and fell down. The whole class got perturbed. After this, Ikki and Stella went to see the teacher. The teacher told them that she vomits at least a liter of blood per day, and today was the day to celebrate, so she doesn't want to have an unhealthy look on her face. Ikki was grateful to Yuri because she accepted him into school. After some time, Stella asked Ikki about the last year, but Ikki excused her, saying that he wasn't able to take any classes and that there were no standard criteria for one's ability score. Suddenly a girl, Kagami Kusaka, a classmate of Ikki, came to Ikki and held his hand. She was a fan of Ikki, and she liked how Ikki defeated Stella during a mock battle. She was thinking of starting a newspaper club and wanted Ikki to be on the front page of the first issue, so she wanted to interview Ikki. After watching this, Stella got jealous and was about to go from there when all of a sudden Shizuku, the sister of Ikki, arrived and kissed Ikki on his lips, which made Stella more jealous as it was not usual in her country to kiss a brother like this. Stella got angry at Ikki for letting this situation go on. Shizuku got angry at Stella for interrupting their conversation as she was not related to them, but Stella told her about their relationship as Ikki was his master and Stella was his servant, which left everyone surprised. When Shizuku heard about this, she got very angry and tried to kill Stella, as her element was water and Stella's element was the fire. Ikki tried to stop them, as it was not permitted to fight inside or outside the school, but they didn't stop. Stella made fun of Shizuku's appearance, and so Shizuku does the same, and suddenly a blast occurs because their elements collide. As that was their first day, the director didn't suspend them but gave them the punishment of cleaning the 27 female restrooms for a week, after which only they could go home. At Hagun Academy's student dormitory, we see Stella and Shizuku start their argument over staying away from Ikki, and during the argument, Stella gets to know how Ikki was treated in his family like he never existed. After that, Shizuku went to her room, where he met his roommate, Naji Arisuin. In the next scene, we saw Stella continuously thinking about what Shizuku means, like he never existed, and then Ikki arrived, and Stella asked Ikki about how he was treated in his family. So Ikki told her that a samurai named Ryoma Kurogane, who led Japan to victory in the past World War, was his grandfather. He was the man Ikki wished to become. Kurogane has produced brilliant blazers for generations in what they call a distinguished family. But Ikki was not gifted at all, so his parents and relatives treated him like he never existed. There's no seat for him, even at family events. One year at a New Year's party, Ikki couldn't take it anymore, so he left his house, and when he realized that the weather got really bad, he got lost. Ikki was preparing himself for death when his grandfather, Samurai Ryoma, showed up in front of him. His grandfather told him, "You're the weakest one. If so, hold on to that feeling. That's proof that you haven't given up on yourself yet." Ryoma motivated Ikki and saved him. At that moment, Ikki decided to become like his grandfather. When Ikki encounters people in the same situation as Ikki went through, he will be able to say his words to them and be the kind of person Ikki wants to be. So Ikki started practicing alone to become strong by himself, as no one was teaching him. During their conversation, Stella remembered having similar feelings during her childhood. After that, Ikki got admitted to this school, but people in Kurogane didn't like the idea that a failure like him would become a knight, so they pressured the school to prevent Ikki from graduating by making standard requirements to take a class that was created by the director at that time. But luckily, the director changed, and now Shingyuji-sensei is the new director. The scene shifts to Shizuko, where she tells Naji, his roommate, about his brother and the difficulties he faced. She liked her brother because he was kind. One day, when Shizuko got to know how his family was treating his brother, she despised them from her heart, and then Shizuko decided that she would give fatherly love, motherly love, brotherly love, and sisterly love to him by herself. After this, we see that Stella is cooking food and Ikki is in the bathroom. Suddenly, Stella came inside the bathroom and demanded to wash his body, as good servants do without being told about it. We see Ikki and Stella practicing together for their first 7-star battle. A 3rd grade student named Monotani was the opponent of Stella, who has a rare armor-type element. Ikki tells Stella about Monotani, but she refuses to listen as she considers battles like this as training, and it would be helpful for her when encountering unknown blazers in the future. The first bell rang, and it was time to move to the battleground, but Stella wants to go on a date with Ikki as tomorrow is Saturday and their school is off, but she hesitates to say it. Meanwhile, Ikki received the mail from his sister Shizuko, who wants to go shopping with him, which made Stella angry, but Ikki responded by saying, "Sure, I'd be happy to." After that, Ikki, Stella, Shizuko, and Naji, Stella's roommate, went to a shopping mall where they all ate ice cream. Meanwhile, so many goons capture the CCTV room, feint the guards with anesthesia, and all of a sudden start firing bullets into the washroom, where Kurogane and Nagi were washing their hands, but fortunately, by using his ability, Nagi hid both of them, so they were saved. Nagi's device was the Hermit of Darkness, which can control shadows and move around in the shadows. After that, they went to inspect the incident and save Stella and Shizuko. Ikki called the director, and he got to know that the incident was already in the news as the people who fled called the police. It was done by an organization with a blazer involved in it, and they were demanding a high amount of money. But in reality, they wanted something more than money. The police have asked for their assistance. The director replied to Ikki, and by her authority, she has approved the 4 permits for using spiritual equipment outside the school for Ikki, Stella, Shizuko, and Nagi. Ikki thanked the director. Meanwhile, Shizuko and Stella discuss how they only take children and women hostage. Shizuko had a plan, but she needed some time, and for that, Stella needed to be on their radar until Shizuko was ready. A woman begged the goons to leave her child, but they kicked her, so her child got angry and threw an ice cream in the face of the goon, but the goon kicked the kid and tried to kill him. Stella tried to stop him, but the goon started to fire. As Stella has the Empress dress, she has no effect on bullets. The boss of the goons, Bisho, arrived there and trapped Stella with his device rings, whose attribute is crime and punishment. The left ring absorbs the criminal attack on him, and the right ring releases that power as punishment. As Stella tried to punch Bisho, he absorbed her power with the left ring and released the power to herself, throwing out Stella. In exchange for the lives of hostages, Bisho demanded Stella apologize to him by kneeling down naked. Ikki and Nagi were watching this situation while hiding themselves. Stella accepts Bisho's order for the sake of hostage's life. After watching this, Ikki didn't control himself and got up, but Nagi stopped him by pinning his shadow using his shadow bind power, as Nagi was waiting for Shizuko to create a magical barrier. As Shizuko created the wall of waves with her magical power, Ikki used his Ito Shura ability to take the resources used for color recognition, distribute them to receive only necessary information, and cut Bisho's hand using Reiko, the 7th secret sword, before his ring could absorb power. A dummy pointed the gun at the head of a hostage woman, as there were a bunch of dummies that were hidden with hostages, but Kurihara killed them with his invisible power. Stella got angry as Kurihara had taken all the credit for defeating the bad guys and also insulted the Kurogane. But Kurihara started laughing and told Ikki to tell Stella how he ran from the fight as Ikki was so scared. He also reminded Ikki about the 7-star battle, which is between Ikki and Kurihara, who represented the school last year. We see Stella in a 7-star battle festival with her opponent Momotani, who is also known as the Heavy Tank. His armor device is Goliath, from which he can release a heavy charge. As Stella has increased the outside temperature with her firepower and told him that this is the actual fight, he gets more than hurt, unlike their phantom fights. Momotani was having difficulty inside the armor because of the high temperature, so he accepted his defeat, and Stella Vermillion won the match. Ikki was watching the match videos of Kurihara, so Stella asked him why he'd been watching this the whole time, so Ikki replied to her as he needed to get used to his timing. Kurihara can hide his appearance and make his sense of presence impossible to detect, like a perfect stealth camouflage. Oborozuki, it's one of the features of his device. His way of fighting was by beating up his enemy from a safe place. Ikki told Stella that it was easy for her to defeat Kurihara as she has a specialty in wide-range attacks that can easily overturn his invisible area, but Kurihara never chooses to fight with these opponents. Kurihara's way of fighting was far from knightly, so he was nicknamed the Hunter. It is tough for Ikki because of his skills. Ikki promised Stella that he would definitely win this match. As last time, Kurogane's head family has connections with the director of the school, and they were finding a reason to expel Ikki from the school. There was some time left between the matches, so Ikki went to the waiting room and the announcement of fighting happened, which told them that it was the actual fighting format and their lives could be at risk. So in order to proceed further and still wish to participate, they had to push the agree button. Without any hesitation, Ikki pushed the button. The match was about to begin, and there were only 30 minutes left. Ikki tried to concentrate. He has made it so far, and this was his first official match. It's time to prove himself. The ground was filled with students, and a first-year student got the chance to fight with Sea Knight Shizuya Kurihara. Finally, the 7-star battle bout started. Kurihara used the invisible area, which made him disappear, but Ikki beat the arrows down and calculated Kurihara's location by backtracking the direction of the arrows, as arrows were not invisible. But this time the Kurihara was more powerful, as he can now make stealth with his released arrows, and it was not perceptible until it hits Ikki. So Kurihara first tells him the location of the shooting arrows and shoots them. Kurihara completely foiled the Ikki. Nadi told Stella that Ikki was so nervous that he couldn't make a simple decision. Stella remembers that when Ikki told her that she would win the match, it was strange as Ikki was not the kind of person who was sure about battles. Ikki suffered a lot in this match, and he couldn't have been acting normal like usual. Kurihara didn't stop and continued to strike arrows at Ikki's body. He made fun of him by calling him the worst one and an F-rank student, and he made the last arrow while tearing out the organ of Ikki, knocking him down. As Stella encouraged Ikki, he got up and used the Ito Shura to remember the order of the pains he received in their directions, the depths and the angles, his words and his tone of voice, and by tracing them, Ikki got the location of the arrows. With his steel sword, Ikki revealed the logic of his opponent's technique and got hold of the thought of the Kurihara, which should be called the perfect vision, showing through the caliber. After blowing out all the attacks of Kurihara, Ikki defeated him with his sword, leaving it 1 millimeter away from him, and that's how he became the winner. The audience cheered up, and the man who couldn't take the classes last year won the official battle for the first time. After this, Ikki shifted to the IPS capsule as he had lost so much energy using Ito Shura. In the medical room, Ikki finally told Stella that he liked her. He was happy that he met her. As Stella also loves Ikki, she kissed him on the face. Ikki wants to become the highest knight and face the final battle with her. Ikki won the 5th battle at the 7-star selection battle with a clean sweep. He is no longer the worst one, as he was uncrowned king. As some students requested that Ikki learn his swordsmanship, Ikki agreed to teach them, but some seniors didn't like it as Ikki was getting popular. Stella thought that teaching his swordsmanship to the talented blazer may become Ikki's competition. But he replied that he would love to teach them as bad things can happen to them as well, and when they find themselves in the deep end, there's a chance of his advice helping them. When Ikki was teaching the students his swordsmanship by putting their body weight into a single leg, some seniors tried to attack Ikki, but Ikki managed to defeat them easily without using his device, so the seniors got freaked out and demanded to learn Ikki's swordsmanship from himself. Ikki asked Stella about going to the pool for the swordsmanship lesson as Shizuko and other girls are also coming, but Stella got angry as she thought Ikki had no intention of teaching her. But Ikki explained to her that she has already surpassed the level that Ikki can teach up to, and they have different swordplay techniques. Ikki's is about trickiness, and Stella's is about absolute strength, so if he might teach her, it can cause a bad effect on her sword. Ikki wants Stella to become beyond his imagination, and after that, Stella agrees to pool with Ikki. At the pool, Ikki trained the students to improve their lung capacity by relaxing their bodies into the water, told them we feel very close when we are in the water, and told them to focus on their inside consciousness and listen to their own sound. Stella became tense as she wanted to spend her time with Ikki, and she had spent her time finding the right bikini, but Ikki was busy training the students. So Stella tried the exercise that Ikki was telling their students, focus all your attention on your inner self, but Kagami surprised him as she was under the water. Kagami asks Stella about their relationship, but Stella is hesitating to say it, but anyhow, Kagami made Stella reveal her feelings about Ikki. Kagami asked more about their relationship, but Stella told her that nothing had happened between them for 2 weeks. Stella wants to act more like a lover, but she was concise that if she did it, then Ikki would think that Stella is a naughty girl, and it is disgraceful for a girl to say that. So Kagami told her to open up to Ikki, especially when he's not opening up to her, as boys nowadays have a preference for non-aggressive or non-confrontational behavior, and they can run away if Stella doesn't act quickly enough. Kagami excites Stella as she tells her Ikki is making a lecherous look by looking at her bikini and goes to call Ikki. So Ikki went to Stella, and as Kagami said, Stella wanted to talk about some important stuff. Stella asked Ikki about her bikini, and Ikki said it looked good. Stella was amazed, as there was no lecherous look on his face as Kagami told her. Ikki expresses his feelings to Stella, but she misunderstands that Ikki does not like her because she doesn't hold his hands. An argument breaks out between them, and after some time, they both kiss. Ikki and Stella were in their battleground, fighting with their opponents respectively. Ikki's opponent was Renren Tomaru, who was an executive of the student council and is also known as the Runner's High, and her ability was Mach Greed. By accumulating its own speed, she continues to accelerate forever unless she stops. She was already going faster than sonic speed and used her Black Bird move, but Ikki stopped her, defeated the Tomaro, and continued to remain undefeated. Stella's opponent was Ikazuchi Seijo. His device was Zanbato, also known as Destroyer. His ability was the accumulation of slashing weight. The more Seijo swings, the heavier Zanbato gets. Seijo uses his Crescendo Axe move, but Stella broke his Zanbato and defeated him, as Stella can bring down power, special abilities, or tricks, and that's the reason why she was an A-ranked knight. The play-by-play coverage was covered by Mikazuki Tsukuyomi. Shizuko congratulates Ikki and asks him if she can sleep by his side and nurse him. Stella got jealous by listening to Shizuko, so she told Ikki to leave her, but Ikki couldn't do it, so Shizuko told Stella to stop butting heads between their conversations as she had nothing to do with it. But Stella couldn't express herself, so Alice Nagi told her to reveal it. During their conversation, Alice noticed someone stalking him for a week, but Ikki didn't say anything, so he didn't find out, but this time they should find out. Ikki asked the stalker to come out, so she did, but due to his shy nature, she fell into the water, so they saved her. She was a third-year student in Class 3 to 1 Ayase, and her father, Kaido Ayatsuji, was a gifted swordsman and the last samurai. He won all the well-known tournaments and enjoyed his glory in the world of the Japanese sword. He was a true master, but he's not widely known because he was not a blazer. Ikki was thrilled to meet Kato's daughter, as when Ikki was little, he used to study by watching his swordplay match videos. Now he's hospitalized after an accident during the match. Aze was happy to know that Ikki had worshipped her father. As Aze didn't know how to talk to a man, she stalked Ikki for his guidance in swordplay. Ikki let her join his swordplay training. During the training, Ikki told Aze that she feels she is not reaching Kato's level, and that was the reason for her not getting better. No matter how fast she does it, she is not reaching the level of her father, as both are different in gender as well as their body structures and how their muscles develop. The more she tries to imitate the person she's trying to imitate, the closer she will be to them, and their differences will become apparent. Ikki corrected the initial form of Aze with the condition that if she felt proud about using exactly the same technique as Kato, then Aze shouldn't force herself to change that because once the move gets corrected, it will never come back. After that, Ikki moved Aze's leg by a few millimeters and corrected her form, as females have more joint flexibility, especially the hip joint, as the female pelvis is wider for pregnancy, and because of this, their hip joint sticks out and provides them with a wider range of mobility than males. Now Aze became faster with this form, as instead of her, she was receiving the attack with her entire lower body, so he thanked Ikki and told him about his hands. Stella asked Shizuko, isn't she jealous of Aze as she gets touched by her brother Ikki? Shizuko replied that as long as he is just getting a lecture on swordplay and the person makes her brother Ikki happy, she has no problem with it, as long as she betrays him and gives him sorrow. At night, Stella asked Ikki how he felt touching Aze, as she was feeling insecure, so Ikki replied that the only person he likes is Stella. In the morning, Stella and Aze practiced, and after finishing their training, they went to a restaurant for dinner, but some bad boys bullied Aze. They were powerful blazers. As Ikki tried to stop them, the leader, Kurado, abused him and hit the glass bottle on his face. Kurado Kurashika, the sword eater, was the ace of Danro Academy, who just picked anyone who stuck out and was in the top 8 of the 7-star battle festival. Stella got angry, and she tried to attack them, but Ikki stopped her and said their hands just slipped, and there was nothing to fight with his smiling face. After they went, Stella asked Ikki why he'd been quiet since Kurado hit him, so Ikki replied he might be expelled from school if he used his device. Yudikata Masogi, the vice president of the Hagun Academy Student Council, healed Ikki's face wound. On their way to the academy, Ikki got to know that Aze was the opponent for the 7th selection match. Ikki got the message from Aze, who wanted to tell him something, so she told him to meet her on Building 11's roof at 3 a.m., but Alice thought it could be a trap, so he warned Ikki. Aze Ayatsuji called Ikki to the Building 11 at 3 a.m., where she says that before playing with Vermillion, Ikki needs to play with her, and there is no chance that he can defeat her, so what would he do? Ikki replied that with all he had, he would fight fairly, and there is nothing he can do but fight with everything he has. Justice that doesn't produce results is just nonsense. Ayatsuji told him and fell from the roof. To save Ayatsuji, Ikki, using his Itoshira ability that he can only use once a day, saves Aze Ayatsuji, but it was a trap as Aze wanted him to use it so that he wouldn't have enough time to recover for the match, as only the last 10 hours were left for the match, and now she has more chances to win. Ikki stopped A's as she would throw away her pride as a knight and disgrace the spirit of her father, Ayatsuji Idaryu. But A's didn't stop because she wanted to win the 7-star battle anyway. At 11 a.m., Ikki woke and found himself in the medical room as he had lost a lot of his power saving Ayatsuji. The director asked Ikki about the last night's incident. Rather, he accepted the punishment but forbade him to tell about the incident. Ikki asked about Ayase Ayatsuji of Class 3-1 to the director, so she told him that about 2 years ago, Ayage's father, Kaido Ayatsuji, also known as the Last Samurai, became unable to hold his sword again as a result of losing a one-on-one battle when his school was challenged. He fought Kurado Kurashiki, the sword eater from Hagun Academy, and according to the rules, he lost the battle, so this land and the building were taken by Kurashika, according to the rules they agreed to before the match. He's been unconscious for the past 2 years, so in order to take revenge from Kurashiki, A's needed to defeat the Ikki in the 7-star battle festival. Everything she loved has been taken from her, and she is driven to the edge. Ikki asked Stella to come with him as he wanted to discuss one thing. Finally, the 7th match between A's Ayatsuji and Ikki Kurogane begins at the 3rd training field, which was reported by Hengetsu Tsukuyomi and commented on by Yuri Oriki. Ikki and A's entered the battleground. They both won 6 out of 6 fights. The battle gets started, and Ikki calls her device Intensu and A's Hizum. They didn't have any idea about A's abilities as she hadn't entered any of the official matches prior to this year, so there was no data, and this year she had fought with only her sword techniques and hadn't shown any of her abilities. The kind of abilities she possesses will determine the direction of their fight. The battle got started, and Ikki jumped, looking for a swift attack, but suddenly his body got severely cut, so he stepped back, and nobody could understand what happened. After the attack, Ikki decided to get poised again, but now he has a cut on his back. Opening the wound was the ability of A's device, Hizum. Ikki understands that A's already placed the traps in that space, and she used the invisible whirlwind to cut him. But planting the traps before the match is against the rules, and if A's gets caught, then the fight will be forfeited. A's left the sword cuts in that space from earlier in the match that cut Ikki's body, and with her whirlwind ability, she opens the wound, and by opening the one wound, the air gets sucked inside rapidly, creating a whirlwind. A's plans to get into Ikki's vital spot with the very little cut that she made with her Hizum, and one hit can become deadly. But Ikki defends himself from the fierce rush of attack, and after that, he uses the irregular guarding technique to block the A's sword. Ikki already told Yuri Oriki that A's can violate the rules during the fight, but Ikki wanted her to overlook it because he wants to know the intention of A's, and if he loses one match, he wouldn't be selected as a representative in the 7-star battle festival. Ikki doesn't want to end his friendship with A's. A's was ignoring what Ikki taught her and what she already knew. She has a lot more pride in herself than she believes. A's told Ikki that no matter how much pride he has, it's all no good if he loses, and ideals that don't produce results are meaningless, so she will do whatever she wants. A's wants to win the fight at any cost, as she wanted to face Kurashika in the final battle and wanted her land and the building her father lost in the fight between him and Kurashika. Ikki dashed towards A's, creating a charge in his flesh and blood without using his Itoshura ability, but with his perfect vision techniques. So A's needs to do more than his vision allows in order to win the match and qualify to fight Kurashika, the Sword Eater. Ikki uses the technique of the 4th secret sword, Shinkiro, and switches his device to Phantom mode, as his intention from the beginning of the match was to drain her energy and defeat the A's. Ikki told Ayatsuji that he wants to help her and A's get back what she lost because Ikki doesn't need a reason to help a friend. Kaido Ayatsuji, the Last Samurai, retired due to a heart problem when A's was in junior high school. Even when he became unable to wield a sword, he still taught dignity and guided his students. A's has followed his teachings more obediently than anyone else. She has taken them to heart. He taught A's to value civility, help the weak, hate evil, and never forget her pride as a knight. Ayatsuji Idaryu is a kind of swordsmanship that protects people. A's knew that her father didn't have much time left, and that's why he taught her Ayatsuji Idaryu, a form of sword technique, even when she was immature. Kurando Kurashiki, a third-year student at Hagun Academy, storms schools unofficially and destroys the martial arts schools around town. His overwhelming swordplay earned him the nickname Sword Eater. 2 years ago at Idaryu School, he defeated Kaido Ayatsuji without using his ability, only his sword technique, and took the land and building of Ai's father, Kaido. Kurando's sword has neither pride nor nobility. He was a man of merely barbaric violence. Kurando captured the house of Ayatsuji, which happened to be a martial arts school. Ikki challenged Kurando to a duel fight on behalf of Ayatsuji to take his school back. It is prohibited for knight students to use their devices outside the school, but as it is an accredited martial arts school, Ikki is allowed to fight with his master's permission. Kurando asked Ikki to show his qualifications, so Ikki gave him the cards he got after defeating the guards outside the house. Kurando calls his device Orochimaru. Orochimaru can transform into anything and can erode the engagement distance of any swordsman, and Ikki and Tensu, and the deadly battle started as Ikki was better in response, so he dodged the attacks of Kurando. After that, Ikki attacked Kurando, but he defended him. Ikki defended himself from the Jakutsujin with his perfect vision and attacked Kurando with the same. But he easily defended himself. The power that has become the foundation of his strength is the speed of reflexes, the speed of processing to perceive, understand, and respond to a series of actions. For most people, it is 0.3 seconds, 0.1 seconds for Stella and Ikki, and less than 0.05 seconds for Kurando. Before Ikki can make one move, he can make 2 or 3. So with that speed, he can dodge the attacks that are impossible to avoid in common sense or correct the course of his blade before it hits Ikki's blade, which enables him to strike from a completely different angle. And this is why his sword looked like it disappeared in the middle. Ikki was the first one to discover Kurando's marginal counter in the first battle. But the marginal counter was not a technique, it was a characteristic that Kurando was born with. Kurando attacked Ikki with his Hebagami, simultaneous quick attack from 2 points. Ikki defended it by using the technique of irregular guarding, so Kurando attacked with a quadro attack, a skill of national level, from which Ikki got a cut on his stomach. Ikki defended all the attacks of Kurando as Kaido did, smiling. Ai's believed that her father, Kaido, was mortified, but her father knows that someday someone will come to challenge him, and that's the reason why he apologized to Ai's when he lost the battle. Ai's cried and blamed herself for not having a good swordsman, as she couldn't read his father's body and soul. Meanwhile, Stella got to know about Kurando's weakness. When he uses the marginal counter, his stamina runs out very quickly as he has to take more actions for it. Finally, Kurando uses his ability with his device, Yamata no Orki, creating multiple Jakutsujin, but instead of defending himself, Ikki attacked Kurando straight away as Kaido tried to show Kurando at the end of the battle, defeating Kurando with the last secret technique, Tenenuho. Kurando left the house, telling Ikki to fight at the 7-Star Battle Festival. Ai's asked for forgiveness from Kurogane because it was her fault that Ikki had faced this and blamed herself for not having the proper knowledge of Ayatsuji Itoryu. Ikki consoled Ai's. It was because of her that he used the technique, Tenenuho, because she remembered it up to the last inch. After that, Ai's took responsibility for her actions and admitted to the committee of the selection match the foul play with Ikki, and so she was removed from the selection match and suspended for 10 days. Ai's mailed Ikki that Kaido is now in his consciousness, and Ikki and Stella got happy. We see that Ikki Kurogane has won his 12th battle. So the director has planned to send Ikki and Stella to Akutama School's training camp for their training, as they are the hopes of the first-year students. Stella calls it a premarital trip and is having fun. Shizuku was upset as she failed to prevent Oni-sama, Ikki, and Stella from traveling. Now Shizuku is going home, so she asked Alice Nagi to come with her, but he had already made plans and told her that there is nothing like a private vacation trip, and it's just like a female intuition. Stella fell cold and told Ikki that it looked like a lover's spot and was just going to kiss him, but Ikki stopped him as there were people from the student council. Stella plays badminton with Renren, but it didn't feel like badminton as they were using their abilities. After they clean the training camps after a month, student representatives are supposed to have their training camp, so before that takes place, they need to clean the place. Ikki got to know that there were not enough people to clean, so the director sent Ikki and Stella for their help, as the student council demanded from her. Renren told Ikki that the president of the student council is eagerly waiting to see him. After they finished cleaning, Ikki and Stella went to see the waterfall, which took about an hour each way. On their way to the waterfall, Ikki asked Stella if she was tired, as today at lunch she only ate 2 large bowls, as normally she eats 7 large bowls easily. Stella replied to him that she wasn't hungry today because she didn't get enough exercise. Ikki told her that they could go back to the camp if she wasn't feeling well, but Stella denied him, as they were finally alone. Meanwhile, Shizuko reaches her home. She was admiring Ikki by looking at their family album. The servant told Shizuko that her father was calling her. Her father told her that he heard about her fighting record for the selection match, so he was proud of her as she lived up to the name Kurogane. Shizuko's father said that with her abilities, he'd sure that she will get the spot for the representatives, so don't let her go. Shizuko went to her room in anger as he didn't praise her efforts. Stella tells Ikki that she is feeling dizzy and that her body feels heavy. She thought maybe because of the kiss she got pregnant, but Ikki told her that she caught a cold. Stella has no idea about it, as she has never caught a cold. As it was raining, they couldn't go back to camp. Instead, they waited in a mountain lodge. Ikki burned the wood logs. As Stella has a high fever, Ikki told her to remove her wet clothes as they were reducing her body temperature. Ikki wanted to tell everyone proudly that he likes her, and if she got into that kind of relationship with her, he wouldn't be proud of either his parents or her family. Stella likes that he is so serious about their relationship. Ikki receives a call from the student council. They were worried, so Ikki tells them they are at the mountain lodge. A man outside the lodge gave their location to someone. Suddenly, Ikki heard a strange sound, so he went out to check. There he saw a giant rock monster crushing the lodge. As Stella was sleeping inside the lodge, Ikki ran and took Stella out of the lodge. After that, he attacked the monster with Seijeki, the first secret sword, which turned the monster into pieces but resembled him again, creating more like him. But at the right time, people from the student council came and saved them. They started fighting the monsters, but it was difficult to kill them as they were resembling the pieces again and again. Misogi tells Ikki that it never ends if we only attack rock dolls. There must have been a blazer who was controlling them like puppets using the wires, just like a steel wire user. It is a blazer that uses magical strings to remotely control inorganic substances. He can control them from several dozens or kilometers away, and if they trace the string back, they will find that person. Toda the president arrives and destroys all the monsters, giving the shock to the blazer through the string to who was controlling them with her Reikiri, Thunder Slash. Ikki was amazed by Toka's fighting skills. She was one of the top 4 at last year's 7-Star Battle Festival and the strongest knight at Hagun Academy. Meanwhile, Shizuko got to know that she would be fighting her 13th match with Toka Toda of Class 3-3, the secretary of the student council. Shizuko finds her a worthy opponent. Shizuko was thinking about her childhood, having been born as a daughter of the Kurogane's head family and having had the talent as a blazer since her childhood. She was selfish as she wanted to be, as children can twist justice and adults can forgive mistakes in front of power. Shizuko was truly disgusted by humans, but she was one of them. Ikki was the person who told her what was wrong. Ikki never gave up any power. At that moment, Shizuko decided to follow her brother, Ikki Kurogane, but she didn't know anything about his harsh environment or the coldness of the solitude he was bearing. Meanwhile, we see Ikki, Stella, and Alice at Hagun Academy talking about the rock puppet. Alice asked about the nature of Toka Toda, so Ikki replied that he didn't get a chance to talk to her, but she was just as strong as he heard in rumors. Shizuko was going to fight her tomorrow at the selection, so she was practicing the mock battle with upperclassmen, who are lightning users. Stella was concerned as Shizuku was a water user, so lightning user is the worst kind of enemy. But Alice told her it doesn't apply in the case of Shizuku, as she has a very high level of ability to control the magical power. She can generate ultra-pure water that has no impurities, and the conductivity of ultra-pure water is almost 0, which means it doesn't conduct lightning. Ikki was worried, as he didn't want her to push herself too hard. He will be happy if the match ends without her getting hurt. Stella went to Shizuku, who was bathing, and mistakenly told her that Ikki was worried about her. Shizuku told Alice that she was not a strong knight, so Oni-sama, Ikki is worried about her. If Stella was fighting with Toda, he wouldn't be worried. Instead, he trusts her and supports her. Shizuku continues. Ikki was despised by the entire Kurogane family and left home. It was the first time she realized the extreme, heavy, and painful reality hidden behind his smile. So she decided if no one loved him, she would love him, and she would be the one to give him all the love, so she needed to be strong, otherwise she wouldn't be able to keep him close and would end up losing him alone. Shizuku decided to prove herself in tomorrow's battle by defeating Toka Toda, the president of the student council. Finally, the battle between Shizuku and the freshman who won the 12 battles, Toka Toda, started. The match will be reported by Mikazuki Tsukuyomi, with commentary by Nin Seikyo Sensei. Shizuku and Toda neither moved as they were waiting to see how their opponent would move. Shizuku doesn't want to make the first move because Todo has the strongest weapon that she can use at close range, at sword distance. Toda's noble art was so strong and intense that she nicknamed it after it. The super electromagnetic sword drawing technique, Reikiri. She won all her past matches with Reikiri, as once she draws and releases it, she is sure to slash her opponent down. The bladder who beat Todo and won the final match was a spear user who stayed outside Reikiri's attacking range, as even he was afraid of her. Shizuku is good at long-range magic battles. There is no good reason for her to get into an area that will disadvantage her. Shizuko used her Tudo Hagun ability to freeze the ground and attack Todo, but she avoided it and made a counterattack from a long distance with great accuracy. Todo realized Shizuko's advantage and pushed her back with force, so in order to keep Showa Seren going, Shizuku must continue to generate ultra-pure water, and on the other hand, Todo needs to keep releasing the lightning attacks. It's only natural that their difference in speed becomes apparent. Shizuko bound Todo's legs and created a wall in order to think, but Todo took no time breaking it. Todo used Nukiashi, a combination of stealthy steps and breathing techniques from the ancient martial arts, and attacked Shizuko, giving her her first impact. Alice asked how it works, and Ikki replied that, unlike machines, humans can't recognize everything in detail about what we see or hear because our brains will overheat. The Nukiashi is about hiding the opponent's existence under the opponent's unconscious mind. As a result, Shizuko doesn't know that she's able to see her. Her eyes are following Todo's moves, but her conscious categorizes them as unnecessary information, thus making them unrecognizable. Ikki never thought that a student could do what the demon princess does. As Nin and Todo learned from the same night, Torajiro Nango, the battle of God was possible for them, the director told Ikki. Shizuko, who was playing defensive until now, tried attacking Todo, who covered the entire field with fog and tried slashing her with a water sword, but Todo just cut it down and used Reikiri to defeat Shizuko. Stella defeated his opponent and won the 14th battle. Stella and Ikki went on a walk where they discussed the promise they made that they would fight each other in the 7-Star Battle Festival and kiss each other. A man hidden behind the trees took their picture when they were kissing each other. The director called Ikki into her office, congratulated him for his great work, and asked about Akaza, a sly old man from the Federation of Magical Knights. Ikki replied to her that he had met him a few times when he was still living at his parents' house, and he was a member of the Kurogane branch family. The director told him Akaza is in charge of the ethics committee in the Federation's Japanese branch, and he's been secretly sniffing around their school. Stella and Ikki went to meet the student council as they requested that they come. Tako Todo was as friendly as Ikki thought. After they all went to the Totokubera Foundation, a social welfare corporation, as Toka and Misogi come from a place similar to this in Fukuoka. Whenever they have time, they visit the kids there. The kids have seen Stella Vermillion on television, so they started playing with her. They asked Ikki and Stella to come, as the kids would be happy. Ikki thanked Toka for saving them in Okutama, and also giving a good fight with his sister. So Toka replied that he doesn't need to thank her as his sister was also a good fighter who made her take off her glasses and tell him about her noble art, the reverse sight. Ikki couldn't take her eyes off Toka's face as he was looking at the source of her strength, which she got from the kids that she had protected from the place where she lives. When they arrived at school, they got to know that their kissing picture was in the newspaper. The press was all over there, as Stella is a celebrity at the state guest level. Mamoru Akaza, Ikki's father's henchman, came there to arrest Ikki for conducting a hearing on this incident. On June 28, Ikki Kurogane was incarcerated at an unknown place in Tokyo. International Federation of Magical Knights, the place where Ikki's hearing was conducted. Getting a confession from Ikki itself was the purpose of the hearing. After the hearing, Ikki was locked into the cell for tomorrow's hearing. At Hagun Academy, Stella won all 15 battles, and the audience was discussing the news of the Ikki and Stella affair. It was the 4th incarceration day for Ikki, and instead of fighting in the academy, he is going to fight his selection match there and win it. Now it was the 8th day of incarceration when Ikki fought and won his 16th battle of selection. Ikki was exhausted and on the verge of collapsing, but Oriki-sensei caught him and secretly placed something in his pocket. After some time, when Ikki opened it, he became happy as it was Stella's hair, and he understood that Stella was keeping her promise as she was winning the fight. On day 9 of incarceration, Ikki demanded to meet his father, Ikki Kurogane, to appeal his innocence directly to him. Ikki told her father that his rank is still F, but he was working hard, and she asked him if he would acknowledge her if he wins at the 7-Star Battle Festival, as he thought he wasn't acknowledged because he is weak. His father replied that he always acknowledged him, but teaching techniques to someone without talent is futile, and the worst thing is when they get mediocre results with their mediocre ability, just like what Ikki is doing now. If someone who's not supposed to be able to do anything ends up doing something that gives needless confidence to helpless people, that puts a strain on the organization. Ikki got hurt by his father's reply, as his father had no feelings for him, and cried. On day 11 of incarceration, Ikki won 19 battle of selection matches. On the 17th day of incarceration, Akaza informed Ikki that Toka Toda would be his opponent in the last selection match, but the ethics committee doesn't want him to continue any longer, and if he wants to prove his qualifications, he has to win this duel in front of the public. If he wins against Toka, they won't pursue him further, but if he loses the match, he has to give up becoming a magical knight. The match will begin at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Toka was talking to her mother on the phone. Shizuku and Alice came there as they were waiting for them. Toka told them she would be fighting Ikki tomorrow, but she had no choice but to accept it. She knows that Ikki will be on the battlefield, and she can't cut corners to face the opponent. She has to fight with her heart and soul. Todo said to Shizuko, "Tell the Ikki to withdraw from the battle," but she said she would need some time to think about it. It's the final day of the school's selection match. Today there will be 6 matches in different locations, and the 6 winners of those battles will receive tickets to the 7-Star Battle Festival. Among them is Stella Vermillion, whose opponent is one of the school representatives from last year, Mizuki Ohanada. The match will be broadcast on TV as well. The commentator will be Nen Seikyo, reported by Tsukuyomi. It's already time to start the match, but Ikki Kurogane hasn't arrived, so according to the selection match rules, if he doesn't show up in 15 minutes, he will lose by default. The director asked Akaza about Ikki, as he promised that the Federation would bring Kurogane by car. Akaza says that when he went there to pick him up at that time, he had already left. Ikki finally reaches the battlefield. He was looking exhausted, but when Stella showed him her medal, he became happy. The selection match between Toka and Ikki for the 7-Star Battle Festival begins. Toka entered from the East Gate and Ikki from the West Gate. Ikki used his Ito Shura from the beginning of the match, which surprised everyone, but with his extreme power, he shattered the Reikiri, defeating the Toka. After the fight, Ikki proposed to Stella in front of everyone. The result of the 7-Star Battle Festival was announced, and out of 6, Ikki Kurogane, Stella Vermillion, and Naji Arisuin Alice were also included. After that, they entrusted their school flag, and Toku announced the leader of the year, Ikki Kurogane.